What's up? My name is Anthony. I'm alcoholic. Hi Maria. It's good to see you. Um, all right. So start with this. My sobriety date is August 21st, 2020. God willing, this August I'll have 4 years, which is honestly really crazy to me. Um, because I never did 4 years of anything except for high school. Um, you know, but to me, time doesn't matter. It really doesn't. And I'll get to that after, in a little bit. But um, I'll start off just if you're new to my story, I hope you get something out of it. If you heard my story before, I don't know, blame Eldon for asking me, um, or go to another meeting. I don't know. But I grew up very, very, very Italian Catholic. Church every Sunday. I went to Catholic school, got, hit on the knuckles by the nuns, all that stuff. Um, and but I always felt out of place. Like no matter where I was, I always felt out of place. I always felt like I didn't belong. I felt like everyone else got the blueprint to life and mine just never came in the mail, you know. And for so long, I always felt like, I would always catastrophize everything. And if anyone doesn't know what that means, it means to, I would always think about the worst situation possible, at what with whatever was going on, the worst result possible. I'm gonna turn my hat back around because it looks like I have no hair in my head for it. It's not that big. Um, so anyway, I I go through middle school, I go through high school. I don't pick up my first drink. Well, that's a lie. My first drink I had was probably when I was like 12. I had like a beer with my dad. And I just thought I was cool and I didn't feel anything from it because it was like 2% and I had like a quarter of it. Um, and so but I think of it since. And then, when I got to high school, probably around like senior year, I started smoking weed, and I was, me and my buddies would go down into my friend's basement, and just like smoke from like a joint or whatever, and at that point, I was still keeping up with my schoolwork and all that stuff, and it really wasn't a problem, and so I thought, oh well, this is fun. I like how it makes me feel. It makes me fit in with the cool people, so let me keep doing this. So I continue. I graduate from high school. I graduated from high school in 2019. And I uh I got an engineering scholarship to Penn State, which I was very excited about because I've always wanted to work on the railroad, and Penn State was the only place that had something that you could get a degree to work on the railroad, and so I was so excited. And so I get out there, and let me backtrack a little bit. Before the first time I got drunk was at a party between senior year in high school and freshman year of college, and that was the first time I got like blasted, and I don't know what it was, but that feeling never left me. And like I was like, I need more, whatever this is, I need more of it, but from the parents I grew up with, God forbid I have a drink. My mom's a Shiite Catholic, like, I can't have anything before I'm 21. um so but at the same time, my dad was like, just fuck it, just don't get in trouble. um and so I didn't. I would always make sure I was responsible. I would always make sure I had a ride home. And then I went out to Penn State, and all hell broke loose immediately. um I remember being out there in this new environment, had not knowing a single person, and finally think to myself, I can make a name for myself out here. Like I could tell, I could show people that I'm like the top dog and they can't mess with me, even though inside I'm very sensitive. I'm the furthest thing from a macho man. And but I wanted to portray that, so because I was trying to be someone that I was not, and to me, being a macho man was cool, like that was my goal, was to be cool. Um, so a lot of things happen out at Penn State. I won't get too deep into it, but basically, I had an edible that was laced with fentanyl, and that was the last time that I had anything. Actually, no, that's another lie. I After I had that edible, I left the hospital. I threw up everywhere. It was great. Um, I left the hospital and I went back to my dorm and I smoked a bowl like nothing just ever happened. Because that's the disease inside of me. I almost just didn't die. That's what was going through my head. Let me go smoke some more. I'm still alive. Why waste the time? You know? So eventually I leave, go back after winter break to Penn State, and then things just start going downhill really fast. At this point my parents are worrying about me. When you could tell my dad's worrying about me, he's like he never worries about anything. So things have to be going really wrong in order for my dad to start getting scared. um so but I just remember, yeah, I definitely had like a drinking problem. That's without a doubt. I definitely had a smoking problem. That's without a doubt. I have an addiction problem in general. Um, but a lot of my stories has to do with mental health, because mental health I thought was a bunch of BS growing up. I honestly did. My mom suffers from it, my brother suffers from it. I was just like, be happy. I don't get it. Why are these people so sad all the time? I was too ignorant to understand, and obviously I have a much different standpoint on it now. Um, but that being said, like I was messed up in the head, man. I faked a kid's death just so people could say sorry to me. I just wanted sympathy. The amount of lies, oh my goodness, the amount of lies that I would tell my mom, just so she would get off my back, and showing her my friends' grades, even though my grades were probably lower than my teacher's age, and that's not good. Um, but eventually my mom kind of got the hint, like, yo, this kid's not doing well. So she picked me up in February 26th, I believe, of 2020 from Penn State, and drove me back home. The plan was to stay home for 2 weeks, go back to school like nothing ever happened. My dad's a councilman in the town. My mom's a realtor. To them, we're prestige, so no one can find out about this. Um, 3 weeks after I get home, I go to my first rehab. Now, what happened was I was 19 at the time. I was 19 when I got sober. Um, I I went back home, and my parents had this butler's pantry of whatever alcohol you could think of. And within those 3 weeks, every single one of those bottles was gone. And I would fill up the vodka with water, and I'd fill up the Jack Daniels with iced tea. And I was convinced no one was ever going to find out. My mom would write these Sharpie marks on the bottle. And before it would hit me, before the alcohol would hit me hard, I'd made sure I would fill that liquid right up to that Sharpie mark so my mom could never tell. And eventually, the one day when I got too drunk and forgot to fill the Jack Daniels bottle is the one day my mom finally found out that she wasn't, in fact, crazy, and that nothing in those bottles is alcohol. And that's how I ended up in my first rehab. So I leave that first rehab. I did not pay attention at all. You're telling a 19-year-old they gotta stop drinking. I'm not gonna fucking listen to you. Like, I'm really not. I go to Penn State. It's Party City, America. You telling me I'm gonna stop drinking? But I leave. I go to a sober house, and this was a very important turning point in my recovery. First, a turning point for the worst, and then a turning point for the best. So my sponsor, Charlie, is one of the best people I've ever met in my entire life. I love that man so much. And he told me about this thing called sobriety. And I'm like, what's sobriety? And he's like, when you don't drink and don't smoke, but you don't do anything else. And I'm like, that's what I did. And that's what I did for 5 months. I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, but I was living the exact same way that I was when I was drinking and smoking, except I wasn't drinking and smoking. And I cannot emphasize enough how those 5 months were the worst 5 months of my entire life. Worse than any day that I was drinking, worse than any day that I was smoking. I was not doing anything. I was working, I was trying to just, stay afloat. Any girl that was around, I was 19. I never had a girlfriend. I was like, oh, let me try talk to this girl. Let me talk to this girl. I didn't have any good intentions in my mind whatsoever. I just wanted women. I didn't care. Um, and so eventually I succumbed to my actions and not getting help, and I eventually relapse on a bottle of hand sanitizer and 2 bottles of mouthwash. And the reason why I did that was because I was 19. I grew up since I forgot to mention this. There's no alcoholics in my family. There's no people with an addiction problem in my family. This is all taboo to me. I don't know what the hell's going on. So I didn't know what a plug was. I didn't know someone 21 could buy me alcohol. So anything I can get my hands on. I drink everything from beer to vanilla extract to whatever you can think of that has alcohol in it, just because I thought to myself, you know what, that's going to make me feel better because it had that one word that I love and it said alcohol in it. And it didn't work. It made me extremely sick, and I do not recommend it whatsoever. Um, but I go back to rehab, and I get back out of rehab, and I don't know, it's something, I don't know what it was that changed me this time, but I go move back into a different sober house. I'm 19. My parents don't want to do a damn thing with me. My brother has cut me off. I have about $12 to my name. They kicked me out of the house. I have nothing. I'm living in a sober house with, frankly, half the guys there who don't even want to be there because they have nowhere else to go. And the next youngest guy that was there was 35. I couldn't fucking relate to anyone, you know. So I go out to another sober house. And then like 2 weeks after I get to that sober house, my buddy's like, we should go to AA meeting. And I'm like, no, there's no way I'm going to AA. I'm like, I'm too young for AA. That's exactly what I told him. And I don't know what told me to go, but something just told me to go. So I just decided I went. My first AA meeting was at this place called the Shoreline Club in Belmar, New Jersey. And it was a Friday night in September of 2020. I had like 30 something days at this point. And I raised my hand, Anthony alcoholic, blah blah blah. I share in the middle of the meeting, and the guy chairing the meeting looks at me and he's like, "Was your grandma Mary Ann Giordano?" And I'm like, "Excuse me?" I'm like, "I don't know anyone here. I don't know anyone here." And this man just dropped my dead grandma's name, and I am so confused at this point. People told me it's not a cult. Well, my grandma's been dead for fucking 12 years, and you just dropped her name that no one knows who she is. And the guy turned out to be, his name is Mike, Big Mike D. And long story short, his father and my grandma were best friends in elementary school. And I would go to his father's house all the time when I was young because he had this huge train set I was crazy about. And Mike has always been an uncle to me, and I never knew he was in AA until that day. And I hadn't seen Mike in about 12 years. And the next time I see him, he's chairing my first AA meeting ever. Now, to me, at the time, I was like, oh, this is so funny. What a great coincidence. But looking back at it now, there's no way that could have been anything else besides Gus. That's my God's name, guy upstairs, Gus. There's no way that could have been anything else besides the big man upstairs. How could I have gone to that specific meeting at that specific time at that specific day? Which, by the way, most meeting chairs have like a 1 or 3 month commitment. That was the only one he chaired, and that be any of my power. And I made a beeline right behind Mike. I still talk to Mike. I got off the phone with him about an hour ago, and he introduced me to my sponsor, who is phenomenal. He introduced me to all these amazing people. And, now what's it like today? Well, dude, I'm the furthest thing from perfect. Let me tell you, I'm going through some medical issues right now. I'm probably not going to get into them, but, it's pissing me off. It is what it is, I guess. Um, and so, but talking about recovery, man, like I'm back in school. I live at college now. I live at college. Like, I can't believe I'm fucking saying that. I live at college. You know, I don't know how I'm doing it. You know how I'm doing it? Because I'm sober, because I have a clear mindset now. And now that I don't have the obsession to drink, I don't have the obsession to drink, but that alcoholic mindset can come back immediately if I don't keep doing these meetings. And I don't need to drink in order for that alcoholic mindset to come back, because it's lingering in there 24/7, just waiting for me for the day that I decide to do something else instead of go to a meeting. I wasn't going to do this tonight. My stomach is in extreme pain right now. I wanted to go to bed, but I knew I needed to fucking do this right now, because I haven't spoken in a while, and I just knew like it's going to help me out if I do that. You know, I just left last weekend. I'm big into Paul. I love it. I just went to my sixth one. Um, it was up in Long Island. It I mean, if you don't know what Paul is, it's Young People in Alcoholics Anonymous. I highly suggest you at least try and go to one. You don't have to be young. You could be any age. It doesn't matter, but it is an experience and a half. Like, I mean, I have most of my spiritual experiences except the one that I had with my first meeting have happened at YPAWS. And it's a great way to meet so many phenomenal people from all around the country, and just be able to immerse yourself in sobriety. And if you say you can't have fun in sobriety, you are full of shit, because I had a fucking blast this weekend. I was dancing, I was up. I From Friday to Sunday, I had probably got maybe 9 hours of sleep. I don't know. I'm still going crazy, but just having people, like, it's amazing being in this Marriott and being able to go up to anyone if I'm having a problem, and they fully understand what's going on with me. I don't even have to know their name, but they know exactly what's going on. And that's the great part about AA, is that anyone, if I can go up to anyone in this meeting and I could just tell them, hey, I'm not having a great day. And you know what they're going to say? They're going to say, I've been there, man. I have been there. My parents, if I tell them I'm suicidal, they're going to fucking send me to the psych ward, but if I tell people here, they're going to be like, yeah, I've been there, and that's the great part of AA. The last thing I'll finish with is, in my first meeting, um, Mike told me this. He's like, kid, you gotta get comfortable being uncomfortable. I'm like, okay, what the hell does that mean? And he told me, he looked at me, he was like, you'll figure it out. I fucking hate when people say that. And he told the longer I've been sober, the more I've been able to decode it. So I don't like being uncomfortable whatsoever. My comfort zone is sitting on the couch with a bottle of Jack in one hand, a bowl of chili in the other hand, and SpongeBob on the TV. That's my comfort zone. All right. That's where I feel 100% like myself. Getting out of my comfort zone is doing something that I don't want to do, but also something that I know I need to do, like doing this. I don't want to do this right now, but you know what? I know I fucking need it, because I haven't spoken and I don't even know how long, and it's the greatest thing about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable is that it can apply to anywhere in my life. It could be staying sober for the next hour, to taking a class that I didn't want to do because I knew I'd be up until 2 a.m. studying for it, but no matter what's going on, if I try every single day to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, I'll grow spiritually, I'll grow mentally, and I'll grow emotionally. And that's a fact, because it's happened to me before. Just being able to get outside of myself, just being able to try something new, um, just being able to experience new things and just talk to the newcomer and ask them how they're doing instead of putting everything on me. Just being able to help the new person out, help whoever else out, because you know what? If I help someone else out, that helps me out. It makes me feel good. It's a two-way street. Thanks for letting me share.